Hey guys, welcome to episode number 2 of the Mac Outdoors podcast. Today, Mia and Leah will share a little more of SHOT Show with you, as well as a Colorado mountain lion hunt, and give you some tips for hunting elk out west. Hey everybody, welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast, where a dynamic mother-daughter duo share their adventures, tips, and advice. I am Mia, and I'll be accompanied by the one and only daughter, Leah. It is time to get to outdoors, hunt, shoot, and spend time with family and friends. Let's get this show on the road. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mac Outdoors podcast. We're happy that you're here again, and I, Mia, am happy to say that Leah is feeling so much better, and we're really happy about that. Last week we talked to you a little about SHOT Show, but with her nasal congestion, we didn't want to bore you too much, so she wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the fun she had there and a little more about the show.
Hey guys, so I'm back and feeling a lot better. I'm out doing my normal fun adventures again, and more about my SHOT Show, probably where I gathered my sickness, was going to the Moose on the Loose run on the first day of SHOT Show. It was a lot of fun to see all the people there. It was a cool event. They did a fundraiser for Wishes for Warriors and Stewards of Wildlife. That was really cool, and then they had sponsors from WSI, Wilderness Athlete, Mule Deer Foundation, Girls with Guns, Swarovski, National Deer Alliance, and Bulletproof Communications. And I usually don't run because I have always seemed to have some sort of injury, so I can't ever make the run. But I also show up because WSI and Girls with Guns are my sponsors, so I always go and support them.
Yeah, and so it's always fun to see our friends there, Jen and Narissa. They own Girls with Guns, and they weren't at the run, but they've sponsored that run for 2 years in a row, and it's really fun to see them. And actually at the show, we kept missing them because, as we mentioned, we run from appointment to appointment, and so do they. They have Universal Huntress is their TV show, so they're always looking for sponsors. But we did stop by their booth, and Leah did a Facebook Live from there showing some of their new gear.
Yeah, they got a lot of cool new gear for 2017. They got a new camo and a lot of new accessories to their hunting line. They got winter pants now, which is pretty cool, and improvements on some of their gear. That's pretty exciting. And of course, their regular apparel that they have cool new logos and stuff like that.
That was really cool. And a shotgun vest.
Yes, a new shotgun vest. I'm so excited to try it out. I loved it just from trying it on at the show. So hopefully this season I'll get to test it out.
And so for those of you who don't know, Leah shoots competitively in shotgun, so she'll look forward to trying out that vest when it comes out. And she did mention that WSI sponsored that 5K run, and WSI, she said she's on their pro staff. Well, I'm not on any pro staffs. I wear WSI religiously because their gear, it's athletic apparel, and what I wear is actually a winter gear, and it has a quality of the fabric that reacts with your body heat to keep you warm, and it is amazing. It's really awesome. And actually, Leah has a discount code for it. What's the discount code?
The discount code is LLCO10.
So I'll put that in the show notes as well. And then also for Girls with Guns, she has a discount code that you can use if you'd like to order anything off of their website. What's that discount code?
That code is SHEDHunter15.
So if you want any athletic wear from WSI Sports, you can look at that, or Girls with Guns clothing. She also mentioned Swarovski Optics. As I said, I'm not sponsored, but I use their optics only. I don't use anything else for binoculars. I love my Swaro optics. And then Wilderness Athlete, we were going to talk today about some elk hunting tips, and we will throughout our series of podcasts share a lot of tips about elk hunting, but it's not elk season right now, and actually I just closed a unit during lion season, and Wilderness Athlete got me through that hunt. And hopefully we can talk a little about the lion hunt today. But Wilderness Athlete is nutrition supplements, and they really work really well. What I used, because it was pretty much an endurance hunt, is a lot of Hydrate and Recovery is a supplement that I use a lot when I'm hunting. You can find Wilderness Athlete on the internet. I don't have any discount codes for them because, as I said, I'm not on their pro staff or anything. I just really like their product.
So speaking of this lion hunt my mom went on, I unfortunately did not get to tag along. I was just recovering from my cold and I was feeling better, but I know such a hard hunt in the deep snow would have been really hard for me to tag along with. But let's hear about this hunt. Tell us about it.
We started out, actually, when you're lion hunting, you look for tracks in the snow, and we took our hounds and a friend's hounds, and we found a track, and it looked to be a day old, and we took off on the snowmobiles, found that track, and then we dumped the dogs, and what they do is they stick their nose in there, and they trail the scent of the cat. First day, we did that, and the snow is super deep. It's kind of crusted and kind of not, so you try to think light and walk on top of the snow, but as you know, you sink a lot in that kind of snow, and that wears you out. And of course, the elevation is between, I don't know, probably 8,000 and 9,000 is where we were for this hunt. But the first day, our two dogs, Fat Tire and Freaky, they took off after that track, and they chased it, but then unfortunately it ran to private land, so we had to circle around and try to find it on the other side. And by the end of the day, it got late and we didn't catch him that day, so we had to go back for day 2.
Speaking of your first day, I know you mentioned a certain something you found along the trail.
Oh, yes. So while we were trailing, my husband and his friend, they took our snowmobiles around, and I was trailing the dogs, like following them track for track, even though they have GPS tracking collars on, but I was following them and trying to just make sure that they were actually following a cat, because sometimes dogs will forget and they'll try to chase something they're not supposed to, but these dogs to this day didn't mess up. They were following a cat, and I know because I came to a tree that was just completely wallowed out under it. The snow was a mess, and there was a porcupine that was shredded, but it had been maybe the day before. Our dogs didn't get the porcupine, and so it really had me excited because I knew the cat prints and the porcupine meant the cat had killed it, and it was probably the day before. So I was excited, but then I was a little worried because that meant we were a day behind that cat. So I didn't know how far he may have went because they move pretty quickly even though the snow is deep.
Yeah. So day 2, that was the big day. How did that turn out?
On day 2, we started out actually before sunrise, and it was below 0 that day. I don't know exactly the exact temperature, but it was cold. And we started out on the snowmobiles, and what we wanted to do was make sure that that cat hadn't gone too far. We wanted to know what drainage it had moved to because we couldn't find where it had crossed. There was a road, and the road maintainers had been grading, so it's really tough to find the track. And we circled in other drainages. We rode snowmobiles for hours, which that may sound like all fun and games, but when you're in the mountains in Colorado, it's not sit on your butt and ride. It's actually a lot of work. So we knew that he hadn't crossed one drainage that we were worried about. That took half the day, and then we met up with another friend, our good friend Hunter, and because he was checking another side, and he said he hadn't seen it cross out of there. And so Hunter showed up, and we had his dogs and Cody's dogs and our dogs, but it was getting late in the day because, as I said, we'd done a lot of work looking for him. Checked for the track, and finally we were giving up for the day. We had almost called it quits. Cody, our other friend, he found the track, and it was right where it was supposed to be. We just had been missing it. Since it was getting so late, I actually texted Leah and was like, sorry, I'm going to miss an SCI meeting because once you start, you can't just quit. Lion hunting's pretty interesting because there's a hierarchy, and you have to put the work and the time in to get a cat. You can't just show up and say, I want to be first in line, because with the quota, there's a lot of hunters, and so you can only stay within the harvest limits of the quota. So I was there, I was the hunter, and of course they cannot release the dogs without a hunter. And since our dogs and Cody's dogs had ran the day before, we decided that we'd let Hunter's dogs run, and one of Cody's dogs that wasn't there the day before, turn them out, and then we watched on the GPS and waited. And it was pretty cool because it didn't take long and they treed right away. It was kind of interesting because it was getting late, and hunting rules in the United States, you can't shoot after sunset. 30 minutes after sunset is it. So then the race was really on. We raced the day before and hiked and snowmobiled, and we were exhausted. But then Hunter and I, we both took off after that sled, and thank goodness he was there to walk ahead of me and kind of break trail because that snow was so deep and I was so tired. And as I mentioned, the Wilderness Athlete, I chugged a bottle of that while we were waiting to see where the dogs went. And thank goodness I was hydrated a little so that I didn't seize up too bad. We followed the dogs, and Cody's dog had something treed, and all these dogs are proven. Proven means that these dogs have caught cats before, and not just one cat, but like Hunter's dog, his main dog, his name is Raleigh, and Raleigh has actually caught 7 cats this year. And some of them they have to release because some are too young or some are females and have kittens, so you have to release them. But these dogs are proven, and one dog was treated in one place, and then 2 dogs were treated another place. And with the time, we didn't have time to check both, so we went to where Hunter's dogs were because there was 2. And we got there, and the sun was behind the tree, so the cat was silhouetted up there, and I was exhausted because literally post-holing through that snow and having to actually pick up my leg to get it out of the snow and waller through there. I was so tired. So we were trying to figure out in the sun if it was a kitten, if it was legal, if it was a tom, and finally, we moved where the sun wasn't so bright in our eyes, and we saw that it was indeed a tom. I took the shot and got that cat.
How'd you feel when you first saw the cat in the tree?
When I first saw the cat in the tree, well, actually, as we were hiking there, we hiked and hiked and hiked, and as I said, I was so tired. And normally you can hear the hounds baying in the distance, and they were downhill. It was downhill, thank goodness, because if it was uphill, I never would have probably made it before sunset. But I was relieved to see a cat, but at the same time, couldn't believe it because honestly, I've been hunting or on the list to hunt and missed hunts and been called and I'm not in town for 8 years maybe. It's been my turn to get a cat, and all my friends have been helping, and I've been on several hunts. I've been on other people's hunts, and it's never usually my cat, and this one was my cat. So it was kind of unreal just to see it up there. It was crazy just deciding if it was legal to shoot and stuff. And we really took our time and made sure it was the right one and it was legal and okay. And so it was pretty cool.
It sounds like an unreal experience for sure. Something completely new.
Yeah, completely new to have it's my turn to shoot the cat. And so, yeah, it was awesome.
So, what did you shoot this tom with?
I shot that with my handgun, and it's a .45 Kimber handgun, and I shot that cat. And actually, anyone who's not been on a lion hunt before, the thing with lions is they carry a lot of adrenaline, and so you always have to be prepared for a second shot. You have to be prepared for not just a second shot, but maybe third, fourth, and fifth shot, because you don't want them to not be dead and fall out of the tree and attack the dogs, because they'll kill the dogs. And the dogs, of course, are wanting to get the cat. So if it's not dead, it can kill them. So I was prepared for a second shot, and I braced myself and I shot the cat, and it just humped up and locked onto the branch. And it honestly, I knew it, but I wanted to make sure, but I knew it was dead. And Hunter told me, he's like, "It's dead, you killed it." And I just kind of waited, and he's like, "Great, now I'm going to have to climb the tree and get the cat down." And so there weren't really a lot of branches real low on that tree. There was no way we were going to climb the tree. And so I took another shot and knocked him out of the tree. And so it was really fast. And actually, honestly, like I said, I was worried because I didn't want the dogs to get hurt. I didn't want anybody to get hurt. And it was late in the day. It would have been really sad to have to try to take care of a dog and a cat, and he wasn't. He was dead already. So the dogs were excited and happy, and their reward is seeing that fallen cat, and they were pretty proud of me, so I was really glad. Anybody who's hunting with dogs knows that they get disappointed if you don't do your job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How did it feel to put your hands on that cat? Your very first cat.
Oh my goodness. Actually, it was crazy to put my hands on that cat. The coolest thing, actually, before even putting my hands on it, of course, we were waiting to make sure it was dead and stuff, but it was laying there, and I told you about the first day, that porcupine. Well, this cat had quills in his eyes and in his head and in his claws, and it was the cat that we had been chasing for 2 days, and that made it even more rewarding because we had worked really hard. And my friends, they're way more experienced at lion hunting than me, and they knew how to think like a cat, become the cat and figure out where he went. So that was just super rewarding to know that it was the same one and not just chasing any cat out there. It was actually that Tom. So it was exciting.
So at the end of the day, my mom and Hunter packed this cat out and they brought it to the shop where they weighed it and all of that, and they left me the really hard work skinning it out and doing all that. So that was so fun. But with mountain lion, it's not just for sport or just killing this cat. We actually eat all the meat, and it is some of the best meat that you will ever have. Just like one of my friends that I showed the picture to, right when she sent it to me, he said to one of our other friends that mountain lion is at the top, just below bighorn sheep. So you gotta save those steaks, because those people out there that know it's good are gonna come try to take a few for themselves.
Yeah, we already have a few friends who are like, congratulations, can we have some steaks? So
yeah. It was really cool too to skin that cat out and see the quills that were in it, in its back paws and in its body, and it was really cool to hear her story about them seeing this porcupine the night before, and then him being the one that got it. It was so cool to see.
Yep. And so, as she said, it's not just about killing a cat. We eat them. And also, part of hunting predators is for wildlife management. And we have to manage wildlife because we actually live in their habitat, and we've caused them to have to move differently. Deer and elk don't have the same places to hide that they used to have to hide from predators. So since we are encroaching on their area, we have to help manage, and that's part of it, filling those quotas and taking care of the animals. And so I'm happy to have finally gotten my first cat, even though I've been on lots of the hunts. It was so much different for it to be my own hunt. It's really cool, and I'm very thankful to all the friends that I have that, like Hunter, I wouldn't say he forced me, but he definitely was like, are you okay? Are you still coming? Are you all right? And even though he's asking if I'm okay, he's pushing me, and I knew I could do it. The problem was we had to do it in a certain amount of time, and I did it just like that 5K run at Moose on the Loose. Like, okay, I don't run 5Ks, but I tell you what, I can climb some mountains. So we will share some tips, and that is one elk tip for our elk hunting friends, or even deer hunting friends, people that want to hunt out west. The number one tip when you come hunt out west is what?
Is get in shape. It is harder than you think, and the altitude really affects you, whether you like it or not. During my own elk hunt, we went up double the elevation of where we live, and I was not in shape enough for the elevation, and the whole first day I was out because I could not get acclimated fast enough. So it's really important to make sure that you're in shape even for your area, but to stay hydrated as well when you get acclimated.
Yep, hydration is key as well. So we hope that you enjoyed today's show, and we will see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe for future episodes, and you can find Mia Anstine on social media sites and Leah Leggett as well. And both of our websites, miaanstine.com and leahleggett.com. Talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next week.